The Three Mountains is one of the most coveted achievements in Europa Universalis IV, taking this small, seemingly worthless island nation in Japan and conquering the entire world. Many have done it, many will try, and today, I will not be one of them, but I will be giving Ryukyu maximum technology in 1444, and we are going to see how the AI manages when given such a massive early boost. If you enjoy videos like these, make sure you leave a like on the video, and if you haven't already subscribed, and I know that a lot of you watching are not, make sure you click that red button below the video and subscribe, because at 50,000 subscribers here on Chewbert, we are going to be doing a massive mega campaign all the way from Impera to Rome through Hearts of Iron 4, and it is going to be a ton of fun, and you're not going to want to miss it. And before I even unpause, I'm going to do this for you guys because I get a lot of people asking me to make sure that I enable exploration expansion ideas for some of these nations. This one definitely makes the most sense because the AI just will not take exploration expansion unless they are like hard coded to do it. So for this time, we're going to have them do it because I think everybody here wants to see Ryukyu in, or whatever it is, New World. I know I definitely do. So let's go ahead and just get this out of the way. So 20 years in, Ryukyu has expanded a bit. They've actually moved their capital over here to this Taichu or whatever, but they've actually continued to the south and they declared a war on Tondo, annexed a bunch of this land here, and the Ming was in that war. They managed to like white peace them, I think, but then they went on to declare a nationalist war for Kyoto. They attacked Ashikaga for Kyoto. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think it's possible, but at least they have Korea on their side, and everybody knows that Korea borders really don't change a whole lot around here. Now, they're really getting aggressive with their colonization. They're snapping up every single island that they can get their sights on. And apparently that includes Java, because they declared an imperialist war against Majapahit, who has eaten up Sunda. So I think they're going to win, at least judging by how they managed to do in Japan, which they did. They literally just pieced that war out, took a couple of provinces. They landed some men, won literally every battle, but they gave a province to Korea, which is kind of funny. So now Majapahit is the next one, and they're just kind of expanding in every different direction. Though they haven't pushed much out this way. They're still hanging out at the international date line. And now we're talking. We have the Ryukyu and Ming imperialist war here, 30 years in, and looks like Beijing may end up falling. They've called in a few of their friends, including Korea, Sunda, who's a one province minor, and then a bunch of people down in the Indonesia / Philippines area. So we'll see how things go. I think Ryukyu alone is going to be pretty strong, considering the fact that they have a lot of their own men. They have 7,000 cavalry and 11,000 cannons. And remember, those cannons are undisputed. Nobody else has cannons because it's literally 1476. Yeah, Ming is absolutely coping and seething at the moment. The devastation is going to be going up significantly fast, and it looks like Ryukyu probably going to get away with whatever they want in this war. Normally when Ming starts to collapse, you see Yu and Wu pop out, but now we have Yu and Ryukyu, I guess, as well as Shu and Yi and Dali over here. And then, you know, I'm sure we're going to see more as the collapse is imminent. Ryukyu just completely killed Ming in one war, and now Oirot is sweeping in to take up whatever they can. I imagine we're going to see a big shun pop out here. Yeah, man, I'm digging this name placement. Ryukyu, there's a space in between each letter, and it is it's looking good. They actually took Kyoto. I don't know how. I assume they didn't have coring distance, but they took Kyoto, which makes them the guy. I think it does, actually. No, they are not the shogun. They are an autocracy, but they have Kyoto. But one thing that is worth noting here is that religion-wise, they are now Hindu. They are a Hindu nation, and they worship Ganesha, no longer worshiping pigs or whatever animists worship. So that's pretty cool. Ryukyu continues to grow, this time in Australia, so looking pretty good. The main reason why you're not seeing more blue or whatever their color is in this region is because they're basically all subjects of them. They have tributaried so many various nations around here, and you can actually see that Yamana expanded into Korea as their tributary, while Korea is also their tributary. And then they've allied you. So I really don't know what's going on over here. But since we're mostly focused outside of Europe today, you already know that that means interesting stuff is going to be going on in Europe. Specifically, we've got a Prussia here, and Prussia's cool. We all love to see Prussia. I know I certainly do, especially with their new color since domination. But another color that I really like to see is Sardinia Piedmont here, formed by none other than Savoy. Also, I have literally no idea what happened to France. They've annexed a lot of the land up here in the north and their subjects, but then they have a bunch of independent people down in the south here. Like Gascony was released. I assume that they lost the war, or maybe they got coalitioned or something. They have expanded a bit into the HRE. And then Aragon is just dumpstering Castile. So that's happening too. Portugal is colonizing Brazil, and Castile is colonizing the Caribbean. Meanwhile, the Danes are over here and mostly in charge, at least half, of Greenland. We're finally into the New World, midway through 1500s. Ryukyu in Peru got a ring to it. But over here on the left coast of America, that is where the Ryukyu Californians reside. And I think that that is a good look. They actually just annexed a lot of land from a native. You watched it in real time, which is not really any surprise considering the fact that they are consolidating a bit of land over here in China. Just a little bit. Looks like AI Japan in EU4. Whenever they peace out, they always take all of the coast and then leave China as a subject on the inside. At least they used to. I don't know if they still do that anymore, but yeah, looking pretty good over here, but definitely not going to be getting a world conquest. I can tell you that. The AI is a big dum-dum, and they just subjugate everybody instead. And fast forwarding 100 years, obviously, we're not going to be surprised to see Ryukyu expanding, though Yamana Mongolia has a nice ring to it. It actually looks like Ryukyu may have yoinked their tributary status with Yamana because they're taking land from them, and a lot of it. And speaking of taking a lot of land, yeah, they're taking a lot of land, especially overseas. I definitely have no regrets about giving them colonial ideas to open up. It looks like they're actually going to be completely dominating the New World if we just let a little bit more time go by. Though it is pretty interesting to see Marrakesh, Guinea, meaning we've got some, you know, unconventional colonizers, as well as Marrakesh, Congo. So apparently it's the Berber tribes down here, right next to Scandinavia. Apparently they formed. They don't look that good because Russia is absolutely terrifying and is encroaching on them quite heavily, as is Prussia for apparent reasons. It's always sad to see them like take one little province here, but I think it's because it's a trade center, and Prussia is just like, hey, I want some of that trade. Prussia continues to do fine. They haven't really done much, but they still look good. Meanwhile, Sardinia Piedmont has pushed into Venice, as well as even into southern Austria, as well as finally getting Corsica, taking Sicily over here, and now they are pushing into northern Africa. So we have some nice looking borders over here right next to a terrifying Ottomans. In India, Mewar, Bengal, Bahmanis, and Vijay continue to vie for power, though Mewar seems to be the major one. But there's quite a bit of development in these areas, so I'm definitely not going to count anybody out at this point. But yeah, Russia having a game, though I don't think they're going to want to mess with Ryukyu. I don't think it'll go well for them. So hopefully they're going to maybe slow it down. They don't really have a whole lot more land to take. No, they have no more land to take, actually. So we'll see how things go. If they fight with Ryukyu, they will get their teeth kicked in. But it's very hard to siege down a lot of land in Russia. Like, the AI is just going to peace out before they get any meaningful war score. Meanwhile, the Reformation is mostly up here in the northern portions of Europe, with Anglican looking strong over on the British Isles and Reformed dotting a couple of lands over here. But for the most part, Catholic is still doing fine. Though it is cool to see a Hindu still doing well over here, with only one province converted to Shia and a couple of Sikh provinces up in the north. But how about Hindu China? I always love to see that, as well as Shinto Mongolia. Very nice. And consequently, the New World is very much Hindu, but there is quite a bit of Catholic that is either owned or occupied by Hindu nations. So I have a feeling that this trend is going to continue. And Kyushuan is the culture that will rule the day over here, other than Brazilian, Castilian, and a couple of other ones over here, Portuguese. But for the most part, it's mostly just Kyushuan. And man, don't I love seeing formables in this game, especially beautiful formables like Rajputana, an absolutely gorgeous nation with gorgeous borders all the way from Burma, well past mid-central Persia. So I'm a fan of this, and hopefully we're going to see a little bit more. On the list of formables, Somalia and Italy from Sardinia Piedmont. Sounds familiar to anybody who watches my main channel. And then Germany has formed from Prussia as well. So we've got the trifecta or quadrifecta or whatever, pentafecta. I don't know. We've got a lot of formables, and I'm very much interested in this. Ryukyu did manage to keep all of their colonies here in South America, while North America, it was mostly them in the west and the north, but New Scandinavia and Vinland looking incredibly good, with Huron natives just chilling over here. Also, Ryukyu in Mexico with a very funny name placement in front of Huastec. I like to see that quite a bit. Obviously, we still have the Castilian West Indies, so that's pretty cool. Actually, I'm pretty sure they have like every single province except for maybe this province here is part of Colonial Caribbean, but either way, I guess they got to keep one of them, which is interesting because they were getting absolutely dumpstered early game. They were completely demolished by Aragon, and it looks like they managed to come back and, you know, at least be somewhat respectable. And while we're here, how about an Ottoman Maghreb taking out Portuguese Maghreb at the moment? Yeah, Ottomans are very scary. They did not get nerfed this patch. People keep commenting it. They did not. The Ottomans are still very much powerful. Maybe if you know how to handle them in the late game, you can do it, but they're still very powerful in the AI's hands at least. And Russia didn't really do a whole lot because it looks like they got stomped by Ryukyu and their tributary swarm, because there's quite a lot of them. It looks like Majapahit eventually broke free after a couple hundred years. But for the most part, a lot of these guys up here, mostly small tags, are all tributaries because Eastern AI is just so willing to subjugate their friends. Of course, they finished with Ryukyu in Australia, as well as Ryukyu in Australia. But it is really cool to see Majapahit actually colonizing a bit of the Malaccas and the Spice Islands. So I like to see that quite a bit. Germany ended up spreading Protestantism quite a bit, but aside from that, it's mostly still Catholic, except for Anglican. But, you know, overall, an interesting religious map mode in Europe at least. Hindu and Shinto took over almost all of the Confucian lands. There's only like 3 or 4 Confucian provinces left in the game, which you definitely don't see that very often. And Hindu Australia, very beautiful. Most of the New World ended up getting converted to Hindu, but there's still some totemists and some, you know, Catholics over here in the south, but for the most part, very Hindu. And it definitely appears that there was a couple of cultures that Ryukyu particularly enjoyed. Min and this Zhongguan or whatever, they converted quite a bit of China to those cultures. Of course, Australian gets Kyushan, and of course, New Zealand is half Kyushan, half Maori, just like real life, right? It's at least half of them. But yeah, New World didn't change much at all. We have native cultures as well, but Iberian cultures a little bit in the north, but mostly Kyushan. But the south is split between Kyushan and the Iberian cultures. And then there's just like 2 random Castilian provinces over here because I'm sure that they were good to the native peoples. I'm sure that, you know, this isn't a sign of anything that happened, of course. We finished with Ryukyu, the military hegemon of the world, fully stacked. You love to see that. But on top of having 13,000 development, Germany is in the number 2 spot with 4,700, with the Ottomans right behind them with 45. Then we get down to Rajputana in 4th place. I love to see an Indian blob in the 4th place. A little under 4,000 with Russia right below them, Italy right below them, Castile never forming Spain right below them, and then Scandinavia right below them. So it's really interesting to see the Ottomans in the top, despite, you know, all of these incredibly powerful formables like Russia, Germany, Italy, all of those guys doing incredibly well. Scandinavia has a very strong mission tree because of Lions of the North, and Castile never formed Spain. So we definitely have some pretty cool results here. No surprise we see Ryukyu in the top, but seeing Ryukyu turn most of the East into tributary states and then basically getting China, and that's about it. Didn't really expect that. I figured they would do a bit more expansion than they did, but you know, I'm not going to complain. Well, I'll tell you what, this one was a ton of fun. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a like on the video. I really do appreciate that. If you aren't already subscribed, like I said in the intro, make sure you subscribe, because like I said in the intro, at 50,000 subscribers, we are going to be doing a massive mega campaign all the way from Impera to Rome through Hearts of Iron 4, and you are not going to want to miss it. And for those of you who made it all the way to the end of the video right here, I want to let you guys know that I appreciate you, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Special thanks to Chio, Josh Kupczynski, Azure Rhino, Blonde Damon, Ian Powell, Cannon Fodder, Corporate Gaming, Anthony Grove, Isaiah, Saronska, Ricardo, Cobalt, Rex, Total Farce Frit, Nathan Albright, and many more. Thank you.